Hello and welcome to my cultural presentation. I thought I would share my upbringing and background primarily in photographs because they're something I really value and treasure. So I thought that would be a good way to talk about my upbringing. My parents grew up in the state of Washington in a small town called Yakima and later moved to Kent when they had the four of us. We grew up in a very rural setting, a small town, lots of land, lots of dirt to dig in and trees to climb, and rode our bikes all day and played with the cats and dogs and had a very kind of peaceful, I guess idyllic in many ways, upbringing. My parents had very traditional gender roles. My mom stayed home with us while my dad worked really long hours in the town of Seattle, and unfortunately, we didn't see a whole lot of him. But my mother, she was as traditional as they come and had a warm meal for us every night and delicious baked goods every day and took excellent care of us. She never missed an activity, was always there for anything we needed, and was really a wonderful role model. I thought I would include a couple of pictures of my early schooling. There's preschool on the left and fourth grade on the right. And as you can see, many of my peers look just like me. And growing up in smaller towns in Washington, there was not a whole lot of diversity, not very many different ethnicities at that point, although that has changed certainly. But a lot of my peers were very similar to me in physical appearance and economic status, and so unfortunately there wasn't a huge amount of differences there to learn from. High school, I went to high school in Woodinville, another small town, although it's not anymore. And athletics were a huge part of my upbringing, and I consider them part of my culture. Our whole family was very active. It was part of what we did together, and I think there's a lot of really valuable lessons that come from athletics, and in both playing team sports and individual sports, I think you learn a lot about obviously teamwork and but perseverance and determination, and kind of you build on that inner strength, and especially in those sports where you're out there by yourself. And so I have a lot of gratitude for the role athletics has had in my life. One reason that I have that gratitude too is that it helped pay for a lot of my college education. So my first year, I went to Western Washington University in Bellingham and played volleyball and tennis there. And when that proved to be too much athletics and not enough academics, I transferred to University of Washington and played tennis for them. And I think it was at that point that I was probably gained some exposure to different cultures and different ethnicities and had a little bit more diversity than I had in other life experiences. So, and which I was very thankful for. I liked being around people of all different types and enjoyed that. And when I graduated from college, I was broke, but realized that it was really important to me that I do some traveling and see the world and see how other people live and kind of experience some different cultures. So I decided to become a flight attendant for a couple years while I did that and lived in various parts of the country in New York and Atlanta and Florida. And in those experiences, I often became the minority in some of those situations, especially when I lived in Atlanta. And I experienced my own kind of discrimination. There are certain prejudices, I think, that come along with everybody. And being blonde-haired and blue-eyed, there's certainly some assumptions that people make that aren't necessarily true, but nonetheless, they are made. So that was eye-opening to me because I had never somehow my parents did a really good job of teaching us acceptance and tolerance and being accepting of people's differences, even though there weren't a whole lot of those around us. They somehow managed to do a good job of that. And so I was a little bit taken aback when I did some traveling and lived in some different places and saw that not everybody had that viewpoint. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed all of my experiences and traveled to each of the 50 states and did a lot of exploration in Europe and made it to Tokyo and excuse me, really got a feel for how other people live and gained some new appreciation, I think, for that. Excuse me. After that time in my life had ended, I eventually made my way to Boise, where I met my husband, and we've been married for 11 years now. And soon after we were married, began to have dreams of starting our own family and set out to do so. So these are the early days with our young ones, and we have a son and a daughter, and there's my mom up there with them. And they are everything. They are the world. They are hugely significant in my life, obviously, and I feel very, very blessed to have spent 9 years at home with them when they were babies, and up until now they're first and third graders. And it's been a huge blessing to be at home, and it's something I always knew I wanted to do, and in part probably because my mom modeled that so well for me. But now I have other ambitions as well, but I have huge gratitude for the fact that I was able to stay home with them during these beginning years. Here's another picture of family. I think family is the most important thing there is, and we work hard in our family to have our own kind of traditions and cultures and things that we do together. And we, even from silly things like playing board games every Sunday to larger things like we put together these books down here every year of all of the events of our and outings of our year. But I can't say enough about how important family is, and in teaching them, the life skills of acceptance and tolerance and love and openness that I want them to take with them for their life, through their life. One thing that we do together, which is very important to me as well, is give back. And I have been a member of the Make-A-Wish team for the past decade. I work as a wish granter, and these are pictures of our last little guy that we worked with. His name is Reese, and he suffers from leukemia. But my children go with me now on some of my outings. I think they're of the age now where they can appreciate the differences in some of these kids that we see and know how to handle communication with them, even though it's different from what they know and what they see on a regular basis. And I think that's really important. So that again, we've had a lot of blessings in our life, and having giving back is hugely important to us. Lastly, this is a sign we have in our living room in our house, to believe, and it means all kinds of things to me and to us. Belief in ourself, belief in each other, and belief in our family, belief in our faith. So it really encompasses a lot of different things, but it's a good reminder at the beginning and end of each day to believe in ourselves and everything that we are capable of. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.